What is up? It is Sean Bailey. Welcome to the Sales Funnel Nerd Podcast. Today we're going to talk about selling with stories here. Now, this is something that got illustrated to me in a really cool way, and I'm going to tell you about it, and I think you're going to think it's really cool because I was really bad for this before when I was learning when I would put out information products and trying to sell stuff. I would always go heavy with the technobabble, and as I've learned, that is a big mistake because I would get so deep into the features of the product that essentially I was doing the whole sales letter in the wrong order, right? And then, because when you look at a good sales letter, it's going to start off with, like the headline, something that draws you in, and then the lead is going to, if it talks about a story, it's going to just draw you into that story and tell you about how there was bad times and then good times, and basically the essence of a good short story. And then it's going to end up with, and then my life changed because of this, and you get access to this today. So now that your emotion's been drawn up, that you've become emotionally invested in this, that's how people buy. And then when they read the features and benefits of the product, that's how they justify it. So it's emotion and then logic as far as the sales order. And I would do it incorrectly because I would put in just tons of technobabble. And I didn't have early success with that stuff because the product itself was actually really great. I had no problem creating like good trainings and products, and I've never had anyone be like, "Oh, I didn't, get what I paid for," or "You didn't know what the H you were talking about." So, but the way that this was illustrated to me was a mentor of mine, Steven, was telling me about when he was having success. Before he had success, what really turned him around was that he was going, learning all these different methods and techniques and trying all these different businesses and going to like seminars and stuff. And when he was I can't remember which city he was in, but he was coming out of the hotel that he was at, and then there was a car that had pulled up in the front, big, fancy, just like dripping with money car pulls up in front of him. So he's like kind of standing there watching, this go down because this, guy gets out of the driver's door of this car and then comes around, but he's like really tall but very like stiff posture guy, and he comes all the way around to the other side, to the back passenger door of this car, and then bends over, opens the door, and then out steps this guy who's got like the nice suit. You can just see that this guy obviously appears to be wealthy, right? So Steven's looking at this guy, and he's like thinking to himself, like, this is my moment. This is my like go for it moment where I'm gonna go up to this guy and I'm gonna talk to him. Like most people would be like, wow, that guy's looks like he's super wealthy. I could just go up to him and ask him, hey, like how did you get like this? What do you do? Why are you so rich? But most people would never do that type of thing just because that's how we are in polite society. And I know most people don't take action on certain things, right? So at this particular moment in time, Steven decides, you know what? I'm going to go for it. I'm going to go and just go up to this guy and talk to him. So he just kind of like bolts across the front of the hotel there, runs up to the guy and is like, hey, can I talk to you for a sec? He's like, but does it in a way where the guy's like not like, okay, is this a crazy dude who's coming to like try and kill me or what's going on here? But so Steven goes up to him and it's like, hey, like, obviously you're doing well in life here. Can I ask like how did you do it? What did you do? And so the guy says, okay, you know what? Like I'll tell you because like when he was getting out of the car in his hand, he had this book. So he actually handed Steven the book and he said, okay, here's what will change your life. If you can do this over the next year, just do this over the next year. Just read 20 minutes a day out of this book and then apply 40 minutes of what you read each day. If you can do that, so 1 hour a day, 20 minutes of reading, 40 minutes of doing. If you can do that and apply it, you will absolutely change your life in the next year. I actually was very impressed with the story when he told it as far as this book, because then he kind of transitions and says, okay, that story isn't actually true. There was no man, there was no book. And when he was telling this story, he was waving this book around in front of the camera and I saw the cover of it, and I was literally like, his story was so good and so engrossing. Because I just gave you the short version of it, but I literally had a tab open in Amazon, being looking up how much the book cost. I didn't actually buy it, but when he was telling his story, though, there was one little element that didn't quite jive, so that's why I didn't actually pull the trigger on the book. But I was mighty close, I'll tell you that. It was the delivery of his story was fantastic, and there was people actually you could see, because it was a recorded video, in the chat. People had gone and actually bought the book because the story was so convincing. So that what I told you about Stephen and his story, that wasn't true. All the stories I will ever tell you from here going on will always be true, but that one was good. It was the telling of the story was so good that at least 3 people in the chat went and bought the book, because they didn't even care. Like, he didn't say what the chapter titles were. He didn't say what the reviews were on the back. He didn't talk about anything to do with the book. Just talked about the story, the rich man meeting him, talking about, take this, 20 minutes of this and 40 minutes a day. That will make you rich, essentially, is what it boiled down to. And it was just absolutely fantastic. So as far as stories, I'm definitely going to be trying to incorporate more stories into my marketing, because, like I said, I was really bad for it. I really loved the technobabble and talking about all the features and how, this was 6 times better than this, and this was going to save you 40 minutes of this. And really, it's you got to lead off with the stories, hook them in, tell the story, and then the rest kind of goes from there. So it was it was so good. Steven's telling of the thing was so good that I couldn't resist. So when my wife got home, I fired up the video of him telling the story, and so we were sitting there in the living room kind of thing. I was sitting on the couch, and she was like on this other chair, kind of facing me. And she was doing some knitting and had her head down in the knitting. And I played the whole video. Steven's telling his story, and and then I just kind of paused it because she just didn't seem to be affected by it. So I was like, oh, maybe she's really into her knitting today, or not. Maybe she just wasn't listening to it. Like, not everyone wants to listen to marketing stuff as much as I do. But so I paused it, and then I got up to go and get a drink of water. And then what do I hear from behind me? She goes, "You're getting a copy of that book too, right?" Because she knew that I was doing this one funnel away challenge, and she thought that it was part of that challenge. Because not only did he offer the book, did he talk about the book? Like, he was like, "You're gonna get this book." But of course, he turned it into an offer, so he just layered it. He was like, "You're gonna get this book, you're gonna get this, you're gonna get tickets to this, meetup that we're gonna be having this year." And so it was just, of course, that's why people went and were going nuts over this offer. And it was very well done. One of the best parts of the training, for sure. But it worked so good that even my wife was taken in by the offer and the story and the way that it was presented. So 100%. As far as sales funnel elements, you can see that's definitely one to incorporate into your marketing and to use to great effect there. So I think that is it for today, and we will be talking to you again in the next episode.